You are listening to this podcast from the channel Computer Science Made Easy, with insights into computer science, programming, AI. We discuss here the questions or topics that you, our channel followers, send us. Welcome back, deep divers.
Yeah.
Ever played around with building a website using HTML and thought, hold on, is this even like real programming?
Right.
We're tackling that very question today.
Yeah.
With a little help from Mikesh Tekwani, who wrote this really interesting piece on scitechgen.com.
Yeah, I've seen. Have you seen it?
I have, yeah. It's a good one.
Yeah, it's a really thought-provoking piece. So he starts off with this analogy, which I really liked.
Yeah.
He's like, HTML is basically like putting makeup on a website.
Right.
Like you get to choose how it looks, the colors, the layout, all of that. But you're not actually telling the website what to do.
Right. You're not giving it instructions.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all about presentation.
Exactly, yeah.
It's not about like actions.
It's not about behavior.
Yeah.
It's about how it looks.
And that's where programming languages come in, right? Exactly. That's where we give the computer actual instructions, like a set of commands to follow. And that's what makes software, actually do things.
Okay, so let's break down what makes a programming language, well, a programming language.
Sure.
The article highlights 5 key features.
Okay.
First up, we have data structures.
Okay.
So in a nutshell, what are those?
So data structures are basically systems for organizing information in a computer's memory.
Okay.
It's kind of like you wouldn't use a serving dish to like mix a cake batter, right?
Yeah.
You'd use a mixing bowl.
Okay, yeah.
So like data structures are about picking the right container for what you're trying to store.
That's a really helpful analogy.
Yeah.
So each data structure has its own way of like organizing the data to make it easier for the computer to use.
And just like in your kitchen analogy, each container, each data structure has its strengths and weaknesses. Right. Like arrays are really good when you need to access things in order, like think of a playlist of songs.
Yeah, okay.
But then you've got linked lists, which are much better when you need to change things dynamically.
Okay.
Kind of like if you were constantly adjusting a recipe as you go, adding ingredients, removing steps. It's all about choosing the best tool for what you're trying to do. And
speaking of getting things done, the next hallmark is complex statements.
Right.
Why are they so complex?
So complex statements are all about basically combining instructions.
Okay.
You're taking multiple instructions and kind of grouping them into a single, more powerful unit.
So it's like, instead of just having one instruction, like preheat the oven, you have a whole set of instructions for like
prepping all your ingredients.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like bundling those commands together to get something bigger done.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes them a lot more powerful. It's like if complex statements are all about grouping like actions together, looping is all about automation. Well, it's telling the computer to do something a bunch of times, over and over. Yeah. Like, if you think about it, like a stand mixer. Yeah. You set it to stir. You don't have to stand there and stir it by hand.
Right.
It's the same kind of idea.
Okay, I see how this is like building on the last one.
Exactly.
Adding like even more power to it.
Right. It's essential.
Yeah.
Especially when you have huge amounts of data.
Right.
Imagine like you're managing an online store.
Yeah.
And you've got like thousands of products. Looping lets you update all the prices. Or manage the inventory.
Oh, wow.
Without having to, like, write a separate line of code for every single item.
Okay, so that's a huge time saver.
Right.
And it makes it, like, actually possible to manage that much information.
Exactly.
Yeah. So condition checks.
Yeah.
This seems like it adds, like, a whole other level of intelligence to it.
It's decision-making, right. It's bringing logic into the mix. It's like the if-then kind of logic. Yeah. If this is happening, then do this. Like, you see it in, think about a recipe, right? Yeah. If the dough is too sticky, then add more flour.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
It's the same concept.
Okay, so it's like the program can evaluate information.
Exactly.
And make decisions. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and you see it everywhere.
Okay.
Like, think about, have you ever filled out an online form? And it asks for a password. Yeah. And you type in a password. Yep. And it's like, that password's too weak.
Right.
That's a condition check.
Oh.
It's checking to see if your password meets certain criteria.
Wow. Okay.
So they're everywhere.
Yeah.
They keep things running smoothly.
That makes sense, yeah. Okay, so objects and methods. This one's a little, this one seems a little more...
abstract.
Yeah, abstract.
Yeah. So this is where we get into like object-oriented programming.
Yeah.
Which is like a whole other,
okay.
It's a whole approach.
Okay.
But think about it this way. An object is like a self-contained unit of data.
Okay.
It's got data. It's got actions.
Wow.
Like, think about it like an ingredient in a recipe. You've got flour. Right.
Right.
That's the object, but it's got properties. It's white.
Right.
It's, it's powdery. It's got a certain weight to it.
Right.
Those are its properties, but then you can do things with it, right?
Right.
You can mix it. You can, you can bake it.
Right.
Those are its methods.
Okay, so it's what you can do with the ingredient.
Exactly, yeah. And so in programming, an object is like a little bundle of data and actions.
So it helps you like organize your code into these reusable modules.
And it makes it so much easier to work with.
Okay.
Because you're not, recreating the wheel every time.
Right, right.
You got these building blocks you can reuse.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So these 5 hallmarks really do like...
they're the building blocks.
Yeah, paint this picture of how programming languages work.
It's all about manipulating information, giving instructions.
So where does HTML fit in then?
Yes.
If it doesn't...
$1 million question.
Right. If it doesn't do all of this stuff, is it even relevant?
It's, it's not irrelevant. Yeah. It's just, it has a different role. It's like, you need a foundation for a house, right?
Right.
You can't just start building walls.
Right.
HTML is like the foundation of the web.
Okay.
It's what provides the structure for everything else.
So you're saying, like, it's the base.
Yeah.
And then you layer the other stuff on top of it.
And that's where you get languages like CSS and JavaScript.
Right, right.
Which they handle the look and feel.
Right, yeah.
And the, like, interactive element.
So, JavaScript. Now, that one, the article mentioned that it's not quite like...
It's kind of in between, right?
Yeah, like, it's not Java. It's not Python.
Yeah.
But it can do some programming.
It can, yeah.
So what's the deal with JavaScript?
So JavaScript is mostly used to make websites interactive, right? It's what makes things happen when you, like, click a button or, fill out a form, that kind of thing. Okay. But it also has some of those hallmarks we were talking about. Okay. Like, it can work with data structures. Okay. It can do looping. It can evaluate conditions. So it's kind
of like it's got a little bit of everything.
It's a multi-tool.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like a Swiss Army knife of web development.
Yeah. Exactly.
It could do a little bit of everything.
Yeah. And you know what? Because it's so widely used, people have, like, taken it and started using it for other stuff too, like server-side programming, which is, not what it was originally designed for, but it can do it.
That's so interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So to go back to our original question then.
Okay.
Does knowing HTML make it easier to learn like the real deal programming languages?
It's a good question. And I think it's not so much about, like, directly translating your HTML skills into, Java or Python. Right. It's more about the way that it kind of gets you thinking about structuring information, about working with code, about how all of these elements work together. So
it's more about building that, like that foundation.
Exactly. The foundation
of how programmers think.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And that can be invaluable. Yeah. When you're starting with a new language.
Right, because you're not going in totally blind.
You've already, you've dipped your toe in the water.
Yes.
Yes.
It's like a little taste of what it's like.
Exactly.
So it might spark that interest. It's like, oh, I kind of like this.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe that's how, like, the next generation of coders get started.
Start with HTML.
Yeah, and they're like, wait a minute, there's more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive.
It has, yeah.
Into the world of programming languages.
Definitely.
And, I think it's so valuable, even if you're not going to be a professional software developer.
Right.
Just to understand a little bit.
Just to kind of peek behind the curtain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's true.
Right.
Yeah.
And to learn a little bit more about what we've talked about today, check out the show notes.
Definitely.
Where we will have a link to Mukesh Tekwani's article.
It's a good one.
On sitechgen.com.
Yeah.
And until then,
yeah.
Happy coding.
Happy coding.